Hi there. This video will be a short explanation of the new TPR200, which is the document that we use to mark or to assess the PoEs. I don't think this will be problematic for you, especially if you've marked before, because there's not a lot of changes. Small changes because of obviously of the different situation, but I will explain all of that. I'm just going to share my screen with you quickly. Right, there you can see what the new TPR200 looks like. Okay, so firstly, you will find that the students should have divisions in their file, and the first division in the file will be for admin stuff. And the first 5 points or numbers on the rubric will basically fall under the administrative documents. You will see that, so they get 1 mark basically for having their signed and dated declaration in there. If it's not signed and dated, then they don't get the mark. Okay. If they have the study letter in there, they get 1 mark. If they have a timetable, which usually their mentor teacher's timetable in there, they get 1 mark. They should have a non-teaching duties form indicating the extramural activities they were involved in during the 3 weeks that they were in school. So those activities, yes, they should have had the person who asked them for assistance at the school. That person was supposed to verify those particular activities. So you'll see on the form there's a place for signatures to verify that the student actually assisted with that particular event. Okay. So if the document is there and they verified, everything was verified on the document, then you will give the student 1 mark. If there's no verification, then they don't get the mark. They get 0. So for the first 4 things, they get 1 or nothing. So you can just dot down the marks here in the column that says student mark. And then you'll get to the daily planner, and because the students were in school for 3 weeks only, they should have 3 daily planners. If they do not have 3 daily planners, then you cannot give the student 5. So already if there's 1 outstanding daily planner, then already you cannot look at a 5 out of 5 for this particular criterion. So if it's detailed throughout for all 3 weeks, then you can give the student a 5. And then if what they stated there is very skimpy, they left out a lot of blocks, it doesn't look like a lot happened in the on every day during the week, then you will obviously give them a lower mark. Also look for was the topic of the lesson, did they put the topic of the lesson down there? Did they say that they did a phonics lesson and they did the letter A? Or did they say that they did a life skills lesson and they taught the 5 senses? So they need to specify and not just write, say, maths counting or just something like that, and then you actually don't really know what they did. So it must be clear for you when you read through that what the student was up to every minute of the day doing at the school. Then the next division in the file will be the formal lesson. So I'm just going to pull this up a little bit so that that's in. So we are looking at point 6 now. So this will be division 2 of their file, where they will put in the formal lesson. So in the in one of the other videos that I did one on the lecture assessment where the students had to plan the lesson with a video clip, etc. That is the formal lesson. That lesson has a dual purpose. It was the lecture assessment that replaced the actual assessment that you did in the classroom, but that lesson is now will also be under this division in the file. So you've already marked it as the lecture assessment, and you've given it a mark out of 100. So all you now have to do is to convert that mark out of 100 and capture the mark out of 30 here. And then you can just make a comment there and say, as per lecture assessment, so that they know they can go and look at that lesson you've already, you've marked the lesson. Okay. So you will basically capture 2 marks for that lecture assessment. On the mark sheet, there will be a column where you will capture the mark out of 100, the percentage for, and that will go towards this being the lecture assessment. But on this rubric, you will capture a mark out of 30 for that lesson. So it actually has a dual purpose. Okay, I hope that you understand that. The next section is the division for the informal lessons. That's 7. And you can see that, yeah, you have to mark the one lesson just as you did for the formal lesson. You marked that one lesson and you gave a mark out of 30 and also out of 100 for the formal one. But yeah, you're going to look at the 9 lessons. You're going to select one and you're going to mark that lesson plan thoroughly and also give a mark out of 30 for this lesson. Can I just please ask you that if the formal lesson was a life skills lesson, then please select a language or a maths lesson as the informal lesson. So don't mark lessons from the same subject for formal and for informal lessons, because then it will give you a better idea whether the student is capable of planning a life skills lesson and a language lesson, for instance. Okay, so yeah, you will capture a mark out of 30, and then you will see that the following points on the rubric is now 7.1, 7 and 7.2, and actually number 8. All of these, all those criteria has to do with the informal lesson. Okay, so you will have to check all 9 informal lessons. You will have to check for thoroughness of completion. Was the caps page attached to the lesson, like we saw in the example that I did in the other video? Did they attach their resources? Was their phases completed, or did they leave half of it blank? Did they do their referencing, things like that? So you will look at the thoroughness of completion of those 9 lessons. Then also 7.2, you will check the variety. Students were told to do 3 life skills, of which 1 could be an art lesson. Please look out for any lessons with watermarks on it, because then you should not count that as a lesson, because students were given sample lessons and they were told that they are not allowed to use the sample lessons in their file. Okay, so please just check for that. But with regards to variety, they were told that they should do 3 life skills, 3 language, and 3 maths. So they should have that. So 1 of the 3 life skills can be an art lesson, and so that is acceptable. Okay. Then also point 8 also has to do with the lessons. So you will still be looking at the 9 lessons when you allocate the mark for number 8 here, which is a little different to what we previously had. It says evidence of original resources, comma, attached pictures or photos of resources. The reason for this is because students were only in school for 9 days, or 10 days, sorry. So they will not have a lot of originally made resources in their file, because they probably only did a few lessons while they were in school for those 10 days. So therefore, we also said photographs or pictures of resources. So they could go onto the internet to find a poster or to find a picture or to find the flashcards for a lesson, which they will then attach to the lesson plan. Okay. So you will look at the quality of the made resources, but also look at the quality of the pictures and the photos they attached, because sometimes the pictures are of very poor quality that you can't really figure out what is going on the picture or on the poster, so you will have to look at that. So when you're looking through the lesson plans, you will check, basically you will check 7.1, 7.2 and 0.8 while you are going through just scanning the 9 lessons. Okay, so then the next division is the final reflection. This is a reflection based on, this is also different before I explain, sorry. This criteria also changed a bit, once again, because they were only in schools for 10 days. So you will see there that we basically bulleted what they're supposed to reflect on. We said, reflect on your 3 weeks in the school, so they can write about that, the experience there, how they improved, what they battled with, yes, and if they improved in those 10 days. Then also they have to reflect on the fact that they had no term 2 or term 3 teaching practice. So they didn't go back into schools in term 2 and in term 3. So we asked them to reflect on that. Was that something negative for them? Were they relieved that they didn't have to go to school? How did they feel about that? And how did that impact them? So, and then also they have to reflect on the extra tasks that they were given. Because they didn't go into schools, they were asked to do 5 alternative strategy tasks, which I will also explain in a separate video. But so we asked them to also include in their reflection the fact that they now had to do the 5 tasks to basically replace their time in schools. So the reflection will be a little bit different this time. And please take into consideration that the students were asked to reflect on all 3 of those bullets. So when you read the reflection, see if you can see mention of the time in school, the fact that they didn't go back in term 2 and term 3, and the alternative strategies. Okay, and then the final mark is just for what the file looks like. Is that's not any different from last year. Is it neat? Is it organized? Was it easy to mark? Was everything marked and clearly marked, etc.? So all of this, oh gosh, I see there's an error here. It says it's a total out of 100. It should be out of, I'll have to check this now. Sorry about this. So yeah, please just check to see if this totals, if you add the marks up, if it comes to a total of 100. If it only comes to a total of, no, sorry, I'm confused now with the lecturer assessment and the rubric. I'm sorry. So this is a mark out of 100. So you'll capture the mark out of 100, and there's also a space on the mark sheet. It's the final column on the mark sheet where you will capture the mark out of 100. Right, so this is the marking of the PoE. Now you will come across a separate section. There's also a division 5, which is a general section in the lesson plan, where students can add any extras that they receive from the school. So that will be things like policies they received from the school. If they received interesting material that they could possibly use when they start teaching one day, we told them that they could put that in there. If they took photographs of a gala with permission and they put that in the file, that may be under their general section. But then you will now also see that there's a 6th division. And under the 6th division, they will have their 5 alternative strategies. Okay. But I will discuss the 5 alternative strategies and the marking of the 5 alternative strategies will be explained in a separate video. Okay, so you will see that not too much has changed with regards to the marking of the PoE. There's a few small changes with regards to the criteria, but basically it's very similar to what you did in 2019. Okay. Thank you for that, and I hope that going through this document assisted you, or will make it clearer what's expected of you. Right, I'm going to stop sharing now, and then